Powerful moments in court today as the man who killed 4 Idaho college students learns his sentence as the victim's loved ones addressed him directly.
Those prison doors slammed shut behind you. I hope that sound echoes in your heart for the rest of your meaningless days.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. Today, a judge sentenced confessed killer Bryan Kohberger to 4 consecutive life sentences without parole. Kohberger showed no emotion as he came face to face with victims' families. Those families in court today had plenty to say.
My friends, my safety, my identity, my future. He took their lives, but I will continue trying to be like them.
There's no place for you in heaven. You took our children. You are gonna suffer, man. I'm shaking because I want to reach out to you.
No one is impressed by you. No one thinks that you are important. You orchestrated this like you thought you were God. Now look at you.
Family members and friends of the victims gave powerful statements in court. Surviving roommates also described the trauma and anxiety they are still living with, tracing it all back to that night in November of 2022 when Bryan Kohberger murdered their 4 friends. One victim's sister called Kohberger a sociopath, psychopath, and murderer. Kohberger had the opportunity to speak in court, but he declined. He sat stone-faced as the judge sentenced him to 4 consecutive life sentences without parole, plus another 10 years for burglary. The judge also ordered him to pay $270,000 in financial penalties to the victims' families. Kohberger pleaded guilty to the 4 murders earlier this month, all part of a deal to avoid the death penalty. Prosecutors say they still don't know why he targeted that specific house. And the judge said even if Kohberger had spoken in court today, there's no guarantee that he would tell the truth. And the judge said it's unlikely the court would have believed him.
By continuing to focus on why, we continue to give Mr. Kohberger relevance. We give him agency and we give him power. In my view, the time has now come to end Mr. Kohberger's 15 minutes of fame. It's time that he be consigned to the ignominy and isolation of perpetual incarceration.
All right, for more now on today's sentencing hearing that unfolded in Idaho, let's bring Kennedy Hayes here into the picture. And Kennedy, you were inside the courtroom, I know, for today's hearing. Obviously, we heard that powerful testimony from victims' families and survivors here, all part of helping them recover. Were there any of the victims' families who chose not to speak during this hearing today?
Yes, there were, and I can tell you first and foremost, I was inside the courtroom the entire time. It was emotional and at times overwhelming. Now, we know out of the 4 families, 3 showed up. The family that didn't show up today was Ethan Chapin's family, and the family did put out a statement yesterday saying that they decided not to attend to protect their children. They say they wanted to spare them from experiencing the trauma that attending a sentence hearing like this can bring.
And we know that there was a gag order that had been in place, but the judge has since lifted that. I'm wondering sort of what that means moving forward here in this sort of quest to get more answers about a possible motive here. Does it seem like that lifting of that gag order means we may learn anything more about the social media evidence that was brought to light in this case?
Yes, so actually 2 parts to that. Just this afternoon, we know state police released hundreds of documents in this case, dating all the way back to the very beginning of this investigation. And within those documents, you see interviews with people who knew Kohberger, describing him. So a lot more details we're learning as this sentence hearing has ended. And on top of that, there was a presser after the hearing today where officials talked about social media in this investigation. They said they were not able to find any links between Kohberger and his social media in terms of maybe a motive why he went after these specific victims. So they said that if they were to name a motive, they couldn't, and it would simply be speculation unless it came firsthand from Kohberger.
Yeah, still so many unanswered questions for the victims' families. Finally, Kennedy, while we have you here, what comes next here for Bryan Kohberger now that he's been sentenced?
Yeah, so Brian Kober right now is being held in a maximum security facility just outside of Boise. And we know with that updated charge, he's also going to owe the victims' families at least $270,000.
All right, Fox's Kennedy Hayes live for us in Boise, Idaho tonight. Kennedy, thank you. And of course, this case has drawn the attention of people all across the country, and that includes President Trump. Today, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt sent the victims' families a message from the president.
We are so sorry for the grief and the pain you have experienced at the hands of such a vicious and evil killer. Our nation grieves with you, and we will never forget the precious souls who were lost in this horrific act of evil.
President Trump has indicated in the past that he believes Kohberger should explain publicly why he killed those 4 students. Of course, today's most powerful statements came from the victims' loved ones. Fox 13's Hannah Kim continues our team coverage tonight with more on how they spoke directly to Kohberger in court.
What happened that night changed everything.
The day of reckoning for killer Brian Kohberger started with emotional testimony from the roommates who survived the horrific night when their friends Madison Mogen, Kaylee Gonzalez, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Kernodle were butchered to death in their off-campus Boise home. Dylan Mortensen describing the panic attacks she now lives with.
I had to sleep in my mom's bed because I was too terrified to close my eyes. Terrified that if I blinked, someone might be there. I made escape plans everywhere I went. If something happens, how do I get out? What can I use to defend myself? Who can help? And then there are the panic attacks. The kind that slam into me like a tsunami out of nowhere. I can't breathe. I can't think.
Kohberger sat stone-faced through it all as family members had their turn with the killer who stole their kids from them. Xana Kernodle's mom telling Kohberger she forgives him, but there is still hell to pay.
I do not fear you or even let you rent space in my head anymore. This forgiveness has released me from any and all evil you have inflicted on me and my family. You have accepted a deal that will prevent you from receiving the death penalty. Nothing man can do to you can ever compare to the wrath of God.
Madison Mogen's dad inside the courtroom in tears. Her grandmother talked about the unbearable pain.
No one should live through the violent murder of one's child. Some days it's beyond me how the parents of these kids are still upright.
The world watched as Kohberger declined to speak. Judge Hippler saying seeking a motive gives Kohberger too much power. But many still want to know why, including the Gonzalez family who had words of vengeance.
You will be forgotten, discarded, used, and erased. You will always be remembered as a loser, an absolute failure. And when those prison doors slam shut behind you, I hope that sound echoes in your heart for the rest of your meaningless days.
I see through you. You want the truth? Here's the one you'll hate the most. If you hadn't attacked them in their sleep, in the middle of the night, like a pedophile, Kaylee would have kicked your.
Today we are here to prove to the world that you picked the wrong families, the wrong state, the wrong police officers, the wrong community. You tried to break our community apart. You tried to plant fear. You tried to divide us. You failed. Instead, your actions have united everyone in their disgust for you.
And that was Fox 13's Hannah Kim reporting tonight. Some University of Idaho students got to the courthouse early for today's sentencing. One of those students said she wanted to show her support for the campus community and the victims' families.
I think it was important to be a familiar face and humanize the situation versus, being there for entertainment. I think it'll be good to show support in any ways that we can, especially as the community that Moscow is.
Now, why Kohberger refuses to explain his actions remains a mystery. Some have speculated he may be looking ahead to a possible book deal. We spoke earlier with TMZ's Michael Babcock, who watched the judge address that particular issue today.
It's interesting. The judge actually brought that up. The judge said, look, I think like, all of us, I would love to have some sort of explanation to the unexplainable is roughly how he phrased it. But he said, we're not going to get that. He said, so let's just end your 15 minutes of fame here and put this horrible act behind us. And he said, I hope, and it almost sounded like a plea to whether it be book publishers or news organizations out there. He said, I hope nobody gives this guy a platform for a couple of clicks in order to kind of amplify his platform and give him more notoriety.
And you can find extensive coverage on today's sentencing on our website, westcoastwrap.com. Our online coverage there includes a breakdown of police documents tied to the case that were released following today's sentencing. We move on here to other news, and a Southern California doctor today pleaded guilty to distributing ketamine to Matthew Perry before the actor's fatal overdose. Prosecutors reached a plea deal with Dr. Salvador Plasencia, who they say sold Perry tens of thousands of dollars worth of the drug, despite knowing he was a drug addict. However, prosecutors say he did not sell the ketamine dose that eventually led to Perry's death. Prosecutors said they would drop 5 other counts against him in exchange for the guilty plea. Plasencia is facing up to 40 years in prison and will give up his medical license. His sentencing is set to happen on December 3rd. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, an arrest tied to Southern California's immigration protests. Tonight, how investigators track down a man suspected of attacking federal agents.
It is summertime. Perhaps you have plans on vacationing in the Greater Lake Tahoe area. Well, I have some information you need to know about with Tahoe. That's coming up with your West Coast Wrap forecast.
Now that I can react in real time and actually feel for myself and hear for myself what's going on, it's kind of incredible.
Also tonight, a first for Major League Baseball right here in the West. The special tablet helping visually impaired fans take in a game. Video posted online shows authorities arresting a man accused of attacking federal agents in Southern California. Elpidio Reyna was taken into custody today at the U.S. Port of Entry in San Isidro. Investigators say Reyna threw concrete blocks at agents during immigration raids in L.A. County last month, injuring one of those agents. The FBI says they used social media videos and a report from our sister station in Los Angeles to identify Reyna, who is in the Mexican state of Sinaloa. Well, today, a divided panel of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that President Trump's executive order that aims to end birthright citizenship is unconstitutional. This ruling affirms a lower court decision that blocked nationwide enforcement of that order that would deny citizenship to the children of those in the U.S. illegally. This decision now moves the issue one step closer to the U.S. Supreme Court. Federal agents have detained a Washington teacher. They say Juanita High School theater manager Fernando Rocha is wanted in Brazil for theft. Rocha is accused of overstaying his tourist visa after entering the U.S. in 2018. He's been teaching in the suburbs of Seattle. He will remain in custody until removal proceedings begin. Washington State Senator Manka Dhingra says that she's learned that Rocha was an asylum seeker. In a statement, she said that she is, quote, working with Congresswoman Susan DelBenny's office to see how we may be able to help Fernando during this uncertain time to ensure his rights are not violated. In Colorado, the state attorney general sued a sheriff's deputy for allegedly helping federal immigration agents find and arrest a college student with an expired visa. Last month, a Mesa County deputy allegedly shared information about that 19-year-old nursing student from Brazil in a signal chat that was used by police task force members. Colorado law limits local cooperation in immigration enforcement. The student was released after 2 weeks in custody. All right, let's shift now and talk about our weather here in the West. And someone who was on a flight over the Rocky Mountains captured these images of a lightning show that unfolded last night. She started recording from her window seat right near the Colorado-New Mexico border, and you can probably see down below all of those lightning strikes illuminating the clouds down below that flight there. An incredible scene. Let's bring in KTVU meteorologist Roberta Gonzalez, who is tracking our West Coast forecast. Roberta?
Boy, she was the lucky one.
Yeah, she was, huh?
I'm always asking for a window seat just so I can catch her.
too.
And could you see it was cloud to cloud lightning there? And it's all associated with this line of vigorous stormy activity that's now drifting up into the upper Midwest. But we also have some showers and thunderstorm activity lining the spine of the Sierra Nevada area. This is going to make a big impact on the Greater Lake Tahoe area. If you have any traveling plans to head to Tahoe for the weekend, you got to have heads up. From Thursday all the way through Sunday, we will have daily spotty thunderstorm activity, much needed rain, so that's a good thing. But a lot of this is going to be dry lightning, and that is not a good thing. Fire weather watch is in effect because of the potential of some of that monsoonal moisture moving into a big chunk of the extreme northern portion of the state of California. We're even talking around the Mount Shasta area around Redding, where we could see some of those lightning strikes, and that would be cloud to ground lightning. So that's why we had that fire weather watch in effect. So let's head to San Francisco now, to the south of the area where the watch is into effect. 66 degrees today. You can see the fog bank, the low clouds. It's compressed. They'll be pushing back on shore over here to the Oakland area within the next couple of hours. Meanwhile, I just love this view. This is from Los Angeles along the seashore, looking out towards that right there. And why aren't we all on there? That ship is heading to Catalina Island, where it was 69 degrees in Avalon today, 81 degrees in Los Angeles, which is a couple of degrees above average. Now, typically we should be at 106 in Phoenix. Today, 104 degrees. They'll take it. And then meanwhile, let's head to the north. In Seattle, average highs 81. Today, checking in at 83 degrees, but it's going to go south from there. Currently, let's take a look at our high temperatures across the area. 98 degrees in Vegas, when the average high is right around 104. So again, not bad. In fact, the entire state of California is seeing pretty much unseasonably mild temperatures unless you go well inland towards the Sacramento Valley and then heading over to Nevada to the Reno area, where we can see that we can have some thunderstorm activity there today throughout the evening hours. Meanwhile, the area of low pressure that's just anchored off the California coastline, bringing and contributing to the unseasonably cool temperatures, will stay there for the next couple of days. So therefore, take a look at Los Angeles, slightly below average. Same in the San Francisco area, even Seattle taking a nosedive. Typically average weather in Denver and Phoenix, pretty nice. Alex?
Yeah, doesn't look too bad. All right, Roberta, thank you. Some small business owners in Nevada are turning to UNLV researchers to help protect their livelihoods. Fox 5's Alexis Fernandez shows us how they are teaming up to fight cybercrime.
As a small business owner, Ali Qadri has a lot to worry about.
The last thing that you want to happen is an attack on your security, and now you have a huge problem to deal with.
He owns Iceberg Diamonds inside the Boulevard Mall, a family business started 25 years ago. Cybersecurity hasn't always been a top priority until now.
It's super important as a small business. You don't have the bandwidth as some of these larger corporations do, and you're putting out small fires every single day.
A friend told him about UNLV's Cyber Clinic. It's a student and volunteer-run organization that provides free cybersecurity measures to small businesses.
We actually do that cybersecurity-centric assessment with physical security as well to make sure like everything is locked down. And then we also look into your IT infrastructure from a cybersecurity lens. So if a small business were to want to get a service like the one that we're offering from a professional, it would probably cost anywhere in the neighborhood of about $20,000.
It was created 4 years ago to help students get jobs.
It's not just enough to just have a degree, we found. You have to actually have some sort of hands-on experience. So a lot of our students would come back after graduating and say that I didn't get hired because they want 2 years of experience. They're helping us just as much as we're helping them, because every student that works with any small business gets to write that on their resume.
He says the most common issue business owners neglect is not knowing what's in a contract with a third-party software company. For Qadri, his assessment came back positive.
We were good, our security is good. I was relieved. A lot off of my plate knowing that I have someone who can help me, give me information.
And now has one less concern for his small business. Alexis Fernandez, Fox 5 News, local Las Vegas.
Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, a couple of YouTubers here in the West are on a mission to help others. Tonight, how they're hoping to raise money for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Also a game changer for visually impaired baseball fans. See how vibrations and other tactile feedback are transforming their ballpark experience.
Heard great stories of kids who had never seen baseball with their eyes, but now feel connected in a brand new way.
The Arizona Diamondbacks have made history in their pursuit of trying to make sure that every fan can enjoy their games. Fox 10's Steve Nielsen is in Phoenix tonight with more on the new device they're using that allows people who are visually impaired to keep up with the action on the field.
Some of the fans at the D-backs game today couldn't actually see the game. That includes Michaela. She's blind and a huge D-backs fan. She has been ever since she was a kid, but today's game she used a brand new product that changed how she watches games forever. It's in her lap. It looks like a big game controller with an outline of a baseball field in the middle, and then there's a strike zone on the right side. It's called One Court Tactile Broadcast. So what happens is it vibrates in the device to let Michaela know if it was a strike or a ball or a hit, and then she can keep track of the game in real time like never before. The D-backs are the first team in the MLB to offer these devices to fans.
We've heard great stories of kids who had never seen baseball with their eyes, but now feel connected in a brand new way. We had some say if they had this device when they were a kid, they would have had season tickets and come to every game.
Like for my whole life, I've gone to baseball games and I like cheer afterwards when it calms down enough for them to tell me like, he got on first or he got a home run, and then I'm like, yay! But now that I can react in real time and actually feel for myself and hear for myself what's going on, it's kind of incredible.
There is less than a second of delay between the action on the field and the vibration on the device. So it's basically real time. So cool. If you want one for yourself, well, go to guest relations to check one out, or you can call ahead of time to reserve one. Steve Nielsen, Fox 10 News.
All right, that's fantastic. With their $850,000 donation, Arizona-based e-bike company Lectric is now the biggest donor in a YouTuber's fundraiser for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Ryan Trahan, known for his Trade a Penny series, and his wife Haley, also a booktuber, challenged themselves to travel to all 50 states in 50 days to raise $1 million for the hospital. During his Phoenix stop, Lectric gifted Ryan one of their bikes with the pledge of another $10,000 for St. Jude's each time he rides it in his YouTube videos.
Love to apply pressure on other much bigger companies. Whatever we're doing isn't enough. We need to, find ways to deploy profits and capital towards doing good in our communities.
And that fundraiser, which had an original goal of raising $1 million, now has raised $8 million. That is incredible to hear. That does it for West Coast Wrap tonight. We appreciate you watching as always. And a reminder before we go, you can stay up to date on all the big stories we're covering across the West at westcoastwrap.com. Have a great night.